brass bell above the cafe door chimed as I pushed it open, Mila's small hand clutching mine. The scent of fresh coffee and cinnamon wrapped around us against the November Chicago cold. My daughter's dark curls bounced as she pointed at the pastry display. "Mama, can I have the one with sprinkles?" Her voice carried that particular pitch that meant she'd already decided. I smiled, despite my exhaustion. "After you eat something real first, Piccola." "I'm not Piccola, I'm big," she protested, using the Italian endearment I'd never been able to stop using, even after running. I scanned for an empty table, mentally calculating whether we had time before my shift at the flower shop. Mrs. Chen didn't mind if I was late, but I tried not to take advantage. She'd given me a job when I'd shown up 4 years ago, 6 weeks pregnant and terrified. Mila tugged my hand toward a window table. That's when I saw him. Time fractured. My breath caught, my feet rooting to the floor as if the earth had grabbed my ankles. Dante. He sat at a corner booth, laptop open, coffee cup halfway to his lips. 4 years had sharpened his features, cutting away any softness. His dark hair was shorter, styled back from a face carved from marble. Even in a simple black sweater and jeans, he radiated controlled danger. His eyes found mine across the cafe, and recognition hit him like a physical blow. The coffee cup froze midway to his mouth, his body going absolutely still. Storm gray eyes that had once looked at me with such intensity now pinned me in place. I saw shock, fury, and something raw flash across his features. "Mama?" Mila's voice seemed far away. Why did we stop? I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stare at the man I'd run from 4 years ago, the father of the child whose hand I was crushing in panic. Dante stood, laptop forgotten. He moved with fluid grace, weaving between tables, eating up the distance too quickly. I should have run. Should have grabbed Mila and bolted. But my legs wouldn't cooperate, my body betraying me like my heart had 4 years ago. "Mama, who's that man?" Mila asked, her voice losing its playful tone. "Why is he looking at us like that?" Before I could answer, Dante was there, 3 feet away, close enough that I could smell his cologne, cedar, and something darker. His chest rose and fell with controlled breaths, his jaw tight, his hands clenched as if physically restraining himself. "Elena." My name on his lips was a prayer and a curse. 4 years. I nodded, unable to form words. Up close I could see fine lines around his eyes, exhaustion beneath them. He looked like he'd aged a decade. His gaze dropped to Mila, who had moved behind my leg, gripping my jeans. I watched his eyes trace her features, dark curls like mine, stubborn jaw, lifted chin. And then his eyes widened. Because Mila had one feature that wasn't mine. Her eyes. Storm gray, exactly like his. "How old is she?" Barely above a whisper, but carrying such intensity the nearest couple glanced over. Mila stepped out from behind my leg, arms crossed in a gesture achingly familiar. "I'm 3.5. My mama said men who look like trouble usually are trouble. Are you trouble, mister?" Despite everything, I saw Dante's lips twitch. "Your mama is a very smart woman." "I know." Mila's tone suggested this was obvious. "She makes pretty flowers and reads me stories and makes the best pancakes in the whole world." "Does she?" Something in his voice had softened, gentled. He crouched to Mila's eye level, bringing him closer to me. "What's your name, Piccola?" "Mila." She studied him seriously. "Mila Rosa Russo." Russo. My mother's maiden name. The lie I'd been living for 4 years. Dante's jaw tightened. When he looked up, I saw accusation and barely controlled fury. "We need to talk." "I don't think... Are you going to make my mama cry?" Mila's small voice carried fierceness. "Because if you are, you should leave. She cries enough already when she thinks I'm sleeping." Pain flickered across Dante's face. He stood slowly, movements careful. I never want to make your mama cry, Mila. I only ever wanted to make her happy. Then you did a bad job, Mila pronounced with brutal honesty, because she's sad all the time. Mila, that's enough, I managed, my voice rough. I looked at Dante, forcing myself to meet his eyes. We should go. No. The word was absolute. His hand shot out, blocking my path. You ran once, Elena. You don't get to run again. Not now. Not after taking 4 years from me. His gaze dropped to Mila. Not after taking her. You don't understand. Then make me understand, but not here. He stepped closer. Come with me. 5 minutes. And if I say no? His smile was cold. Then I'll follow you. To your home, your work, wherever you go, because I'm not letting you disappear again, Dolcezza. Never again. The endearment sent an unwelcome shiver through me. Mila tugged my hand, wide eyes moving between us. Mama, I don't like this, she whispered, and that decided it. I wouldn't let my daughter witness a scene. Fine. 5 minutes. But we're staying in public. There's a park across the street. I'll buy Mila that pastry. Before I could argue, he moved to the counter, returning with a pink frosted pastry and milk. He crouched, offering it to Mila. Is this okay, Piccola? Mila looked at me for permission. When I nodded, she took it with both hands. Thank you, mister. You can call me Dante. That's a weird name, Mila pronounced, taking a huge bite. The November air bit through my thin jacket as we crossed the street. Dante guided us to a bench near the playground, far enough from others but still visible. I sat, pulling Mila onto my lap despite her protests. She settled with her pastry, occasionally offering me bites I couldn't taste past the fear. Dante sat beside us, close but not touching, his body angled toward mine. For a long moment, he just watched Mila. Then he spoke, his voice rough. She's mine. Not a question. A statement. I couldn't lie. Yes. You were pregnant when you left. 6 weeks. His hands clenched into fists. And you didn't think I had a right to know. I couldn't stay. I found out what you really were, Dante. What you did. I couldn't raise a child in that world. What world? His voice went cold. What exactly do you think I am, Elena? A monster, I forced out. A criminal. A man who hurts people for money. A monster, he repeated, his voice dead. Is that what you told yourself to justify stealing my child? I was protecting her. From her father? He leaned closer, voice dropping. Did I ever hurt you, Elena? Did I ever raise a hand to you, threaten you, give you any reason to fear me? I saw the blood, I whispered, on your shirt, that night before I left. And I heard you on the phone talking about someone who needed to be dealt with. His jaw clenched. You don't know what you saw, what you heard. Then tell me. My voice rose, making Mila look up from her pastry. I lowered it, pulling her closer. Tell me you're not what I think you are. Tell me I was wrong. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then he spoke, each word careful, measured. 4 years ago, I was many things. Some of them you'd find unforgivable. But I was never the monster you think. He paused. And I'm not that man anymore. What does that mean? It means I walked away, Elena, from all of it. Every connection, every obligation, every part of that life. His voice cracked slightly. I walked away to find you. His words hung in the air between us like smoke, impossible to grasp. You walked away? Every business, every connection, every tie to that world. Dante's eyes never left mine. The day you disappeared, I tore apart the city looking for you. When I couldn't find you, I made a choice. I could stay in that life and never sleep soundly again, or I could leave it all behind and search properly. You expect me to believe you just walked away from being... I glanced at Mila, who was watching us with interest while licking frosting from her fingers. From that life? Believe what you want. It's the truth. He leaned back, creating space that somehow felt more oppressive than his proximity. I liquidated everything, handed my territories to men who'd earned them, paid every debt, settled every obligation. It took 6 months before I was free to search for you without looking over my shoulder. And yet you found me in a random cafe. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Not random. I've been in Chicago for 3 weeks. Cold dread settled in my stomach. 3 weeks? Did you think I wouldn't notice the woman buying wholesale flowers every Tuesday from Romano's Supply? The same woman who lives above the shop on Ashland Avenue, who takes her daughter to the park every Saturday morning at 9. My arms tightened around Mila. You've been watching us. Protecting you. His correction was immediate, firm. There are still people from my old life who might remember you, who might think you're leverage. Then staying away would protect us better. Would it? He shifted closer, voice dropping. Do you know that 3 days ago, a man followed you home from the grocery store? That he stood across the street for 20 minutes, watching your windows? My breath caught. I'd had that feeling, that prickling awareness of being observed. I'd dismissed it as paranoia, the same fear that had chased me for 4 years. One of mine dealt with it before you knew he was there. Dante's voice was matter of fact, as if he were discussing the weather. And the week before, someone tried to access your financial records. They wanted to know if you had family, resources, vulnerabilities. How do you... Because I have people monitoring for exactly these threats. People I trust to keep you safe, even if I couldn't find you myself. His eyes held mine. You've been protected this whole time, Elena. You just didn't know it. Mila squirmed in my lap, bored with adult conversation. Mama, can I go on the swings? I wanted to say no, to keep her close, but the playground was only 10 feet away, still visible. Stay where I can see you. She scrambled off my lap and ran to the swings, her earlier wariness forgotten in the lure of play. I watched her climb onto a swing, her small legs pumping to gain momentum. She's beautiful, Dante said softly. Strong, brave, like her mother. Don't. I couldn't look at him. Don't do that. Don't try to charm your way back into my life because you happened to help me once or twice. Once or twice? His laugh was bitter. Elena, there have been 14 incidents in 4 years. 14 times someone got too close, asked too many questions, showed too much interest. My people stopped all of them before they became problems. The number stunned me. 14. All those nights I'd lain awake, terrified, thinking I was safe when I'd actually been in constant danger. Why? The question came out broken. If you really walked away, why keep protecting me? Why not just let me go? Because you're mine. The words were simple, absolute. You were mine from the moment you smiled at me in that gallery. Mine when you let me take you to dinner. Mine when you fell asleep in my arms that first night. And I realized I'd never want anyone else. His voice roughened. Mine even when you ran, even when you hated me, even when you were carrying my child and too afraid to tell me. I'm not yours. I haven't been yours for 4 years. Haven't you? He turned to face me fully. Tell me you haven't thought about me. Tell me you haven't woken up reaching for me. That you haven't looked at our daughter and seen my face. That you haven't wondered what we could have been if you'd stayed. I couldn't. God help me. I couldn't lie about any of it. I see it in your eyes, Dolcezza. You never stopped being mine. You just convinced yourself you had to be afraid of me to keep her safe." His hand moved toward my face, hovering without touching. "But I would never hurt her. Or you. That's why I walked away from everything. To prove that you matter more than power, more than money, more than any empire I could build." "Mama!" Mila's voice carried across the playground. "Look how high I'm going." I waved, forcing a smile while my world tilted. "That's great, baby." "She calls you Mama in Italian sometimes," Dante observed. "Piccola, dolce, little endearments you probably don't even realize you use. Old habits, or maybe part of you never really left that life, that language. Me." He paused. "What else have you told her about her father?" My throat tightened. "Nothing. She knows I had to leave, that it wasn't safe to stay. She's 3. She doesn't understand complicated truths. Does she know she has a father who loves her, who would burn the world to keep her safe? She can't love what she doesn't know. Then let her know me." His voice carried such raw need it made my chest ache. "I'm not asking you to trust me immediately. I'm not asking you to forgive me for whatever you think I've done. I'm asking for a chance to be her father. And if I say no?" His smile was sad. "Then I'll still protect you both from the shadows. I'll still make sure no threat comes close. I'll still love you from a distance." He stood, looking down at me. "But I won't disappear, Elena. I can't. Not when I've finally found you. Not when I know she exists." A black car pulled up to the curb, and I recognized the driver from the cafe, an older man with silver hair who moved with the same controlled grace as Dante. "That's Marco," Dante said. "He's been with me since I was 17, saved my life twice. He's also been coordinating your protection for 4 years." The driver exited, moving to open the back door. But instead of Dante entering, a woman emerged. Tall, elegant, with auburn hair and expensive clothes. She smiled when she saw us, but there was calculation in her eyes. "Who?" I started. "Isabella Romano." Dante's voice had gone flat, wary. "My former fiancé?" The word hit like a physical blow. "Fiancé?" "Former," he emphasized. "The engagement ended 3.5 years ago, shortly after I started looking for you." Isabella approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Dante, you disappeared from lunch. I had to track you down through Marco." Her gaze swept over me dismissively. "And this must be the famous Elena." "Isabella." Dante's voice carried a warning. "This isn't the time." "Isn't it?" She moved closer, studying me like I was a curiosity. 4 years we've all heard about the woman who broke Dante Vittorio's heart, the one who ran in the night. I have to admit, I expected someone more. Impressive. "Bella," Dante's voice went cold. "Leave. Now." "But darling, we were discussing the foundation. Your mother's charity needs your signature on the new grants." She pulled out a folder. "Unless you're too busy playing happy families?" Mila had wandered back from the swings, sensing tension. She pressed against my leg, eyeing Isabella with suspicion. "Who are you?" Mila asked with her usual bluntness. "And why are you being mean to my mama?" Isabella's smile turned sharp. "I'm a friend of Dante's. An old, very close friend." "Dante doesn't need friends who are mean." Mila crossed her arms. "My mama says mean people are usually sad inside." Despite everything, I saw Dante's lips twitch. "Your mama is right, Piccola." Isabella's expression hardened. "How charming. She has your eyes, Dante. Did you know? Before today?" The implication hung heavy. She knew. Somehow she knew about Mila. "This conversation is over." Dante took the folder from Isabella without looking at it. "Marco will drive you home." "This isn't over," Isabella said softly, meeting my eyes. He might think he's free of that life, Elena. But some ties can't be broken. Some obligations remain, whether he acknowledges them or not. She walked away, her heels clicking on the pavement. Marco gave Dante an apologetic look before following. What did she mean? I demanded. What obligations? Dante's jaw clenched. Nothing that matters. Isabella is bitter that I ended things. She's trying to scare you. It's working. Don't let it. He looked at me, then at Mila, who was watching him with open curiosity. The only obligation that matters to me is the one I have to both of you. To keep you safe. To be the father she deserves. To prove to you that I'm not the man you think I am. Mama. Mila tugged my hand. Is Dante going to stay? The question hung between us. I looked at my daughter, then at the man who'd claimed to walk away from everything to find us. The man who'd been protecting us in secret. The man whose eyes held such desperate hope, it made my heart clench. I don't know, baby, I said honestly. I don't know. The flower shop was quiet when we arrived 30 minutes later. Mrs. Chen looked up from arranging roses, her weathered face creasing with concern when she saw my expression. Elena, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Not a ghost, I managed. Just the past catching up. She glanced at Mila, who was unusually quiet, then at the street outside where Dante waited beside his car, giving us space but making his presence known. That man. He's been watching the shop for days. I thought about calling the police. I hesitated, unsure how to explain. He's Mila's father. Mrs. Chen's eyes widened. The one you ran from? I nodded. Over 4 years, I'd told her fragments of the truth. Enough that she understood why I'd shown up pregnant and desperate. Not enough that she knew the full story. What does he want? To be in her life. To be in mine. I sank into the chair behind the counter, suddenly exhausted. He says he's changed. That he left everything behind to find me. Do you believe him? I don't know what to believe anymore. I watched Mila examine a bucket of sunflowers, her small fingers gentle on the petals. Part of me wants to run again, but another part. I trailed off. Wants to stay, Mrs. Chen finished softly. That's the part that never stopped loving him. Her words hit too close to truth. I'd spent 4 years trying to convince myself I hated Dante. That fear had replaced whatever I'd felt for him. But seeing him today, hearing the raw need in his voice, watching him look at Mila like she was the answer to every prayer he'd never known to make, it brought everything rushing back. The way he'd looked at me across that gallery, like I was art come to life. How his hand had trembled when he'd first touched my face. The roughness in his voice when he'd whispered mine against my skin. The safety I'd felt in his arms. The certainty that nothing could touch me while he held me. Until I'd discovered what he really was. Mrs. Chen, I need to ask a favor. I met her kind eyes. Can Mila stay here for an hour? Just while I talk to him properly? I'll pay you for the time. Don't be foolish. Of course she can stay. She moved to Mila, already engaging her in choosing flowers for a special arrangement. Take all the time you need, dear. But Elena... She paused. Men like that don't change easily. Make sure you know what you're agreeing to before you agree to anything. Her warning echoed in my mind as I stepped outside. Dante straightened immediately, his eyes searching my face. Is she? She's fine. Mrs. Chen is watching her. I wrapped my arms around myself against the cold. You wanted to talk. So let's talk. Really talk. No more public parks or crowded cafes. Where? I hesitated. The thought of going anywhere private with him terrified and tempted me in equal measure. There's a coffee shop 3 blocks from here. Corner booth. Public enough to be safe. Private enough to be honest. He nodded once, falling into step beside me. We walked in silence, the November wind cutting between us. I was hyper-aware of him. His height, his heat, the controlled power in every movement. 4 years hadn't changed that. Hadn't changed the way my body responded to his proximity despite my mind's warnings. The coffee shop was nearly empty at this hour. Dante guided me to the back booth with a hand that ghosted near my lower back without touching, protective and possessive at once. When we sat, I wrapped my hands around the coffee cup a waitress brought, needing something to hold on to. "Tell me about the gallery," I said suddenly. "The night we met. Was any of that real?" Dante's eyes held mine. "All of it was real. I was there because I'd invested in the gallery. Antonio Romano, no relation to Isabella before you ask, is an old friend. He asked me to support the opening." He paused. "And then I saw you standing in front of that Monet reproduction. So absorbed you didn't notice anyone else. You were wearing a blue dress, too thin for the weather. Your hair was down. You were biting your lower lip the way you do when you're concentrating. The detail caught me off guard." "You remember all that?" "I remember everything about that night, Elena. How you jumped when I spoke to you. How you apologized for hogging the painting even though the gallery was half empty. How your eyes lit up when you talked about the way Monet captured light." His voice softened. "How you let me buy you coffee, then dinner, then walked with me until 2 a.m. because neither of us wanted the night to end. You lied about who you were." "I told you my name. I told you I ran businesses. I told you I came from family money." He spread his hands. "What I didn't tell you was where that money came from. What those businesses really were. Organized crime." I forced the words out. "You were a mob boss, Dante. You hurt people. I protected my family's interests, yes. I made hard decisions that kept the people I cared about safe." His jaw tightened. "Did I hurt people?" "Yes. People who hurt others first. People who dealt drugs to children. Who trafficked women. Who thought they could prey on the vulnerable without consequence. That doesn't make it right. I'm not claiming it does." He leaned forward. "But it's not the simple black and white you've painted in your mind. The world I came from, the choices I made, they were complicated, Elena. Made in a reality where the law couldn't or wouldn't protect the people who needed it. You had blood on your shirt," I whispered. "That night, I saw it when I was putting away laundry, and I heard you on the phone talking about someone who needed to be dealt with." Something flickered in his eyes. "The blood was mine. A business deal went wrong. Violence I didn't start but had to finish. As for the phone call," he paused. "The man I was discussing was a lieutenant who'd been skimming money. He needed to be removed from his position. Dealt with didn't mean killed, Elena. It meant reassigned, demoted, cut out of the organization." "How do I know you're telling the truth?" "Because if I'd wanted to kill him, I wouldn't have discussed it where you could overhear." His voice was matter of fact. "I protected you from the worst of what I was. You never saw the violence, never heard the real darkness, because I wanted you separate from that world. Clean. Mine, but untouched." I wasn't untouched. I was blind. Anger flared through me. "You let me believe you were someone safe when you were the most dangerous man I'd ever met. Was I dangerous to you?" He reached across the table, not quite touching my hand. "Did I ever raise my voice to you? Threaten you? Control who you saw or what you did? Make you afraid?" "No," I admitted. "But that doesn't mean—" "It means everything." His voice was fierce. "Whatever else I was, whatever darkness I carried, with you I was just a man in love. Desperately, completely in love with a woman who made me want to be better." The raw honesty in his voice made my chest tight. "Then why didn't you tell me the truth? If you loved me so much, why let me find out that way? Because I was a coward. The admission seemed to cost him. I told myself I would tell you, after we'd been together longer, after you loved me enough that you'd understand. But the truth is, I was terrified. Terrified that the moment you knew, you'd look at me the way you're looking at me now, with fear and judgment and the knowledge that I'm not the man you thought I was. You were right to be terrified, because the moment I knew, I ran. 6 weeks pregnant with my child. His voice cracked. Did you know then? When you left? I nodded, tears pricking my eyes. I'd taken the test that morning. I was going to tell you that night. And then I saw the blood, heard the call, and I realized I couldn't bring a child into your world. Couldn't risk her growing up surrounded by violence and danger and men who solve problems with guns. So you ran to protect her. To protect us both. And in doing so, you took away my chance to be a father. To watch her grow. To be there for her first breath. Her first word. Her first everything. Pain etched his features. Do you have any idea what that's like, Elena? To discover you have a daughter who's almost 4 years old? To realize you've missed every moment of her life? You don't get to make me feel guilty for protecting my child. Our child. His hand closed over mine before I could pull away. She's our child, Elena. Mine and yours. And while I understand why you ran, while I can even respect the fear that drove you, you need to understand something. His thumb traced circles on my palm. I will never forgive you for those lost years. I will love you until my last breath. I will protect you with everything I have, but I will never forgive you for taking her from me. The honesty of it hurt more than anger would have. Then what do you want from me? Everything. His eyes held mine. I want you to come home, to live with me. Let me provide for you both. I want to wake up every morning with my daughter in the next room. I want to teach her Italian, take her to the park, read her bedtime stories. I want to be her father in every way that matters. And me? My voice was barely audible. What do you want from me? I want you to trust me again, to see that I'm not the monster you've convinced yourself I am. He paused. I want you to let me love you the way I should have from the beginning. Honestly. Completely. With no secrets between us. That's asking for a lot. I know. That's why I'm willing to negotiate. He released my hand, leaning back. I won't force you into anything, Elena. Whatever we build, it has to be your choice. But I need you to understand the reality of our situation. What reality? You're still in danger. The people from my old life who know about you, who might remember the woman who disappeared, they're still out there. Some of them are contained. Others. He shook his head. Others require active management, protection, the kind only I can provide. So this is protection or else? This is reality. His voice was firm. I can keep you safe from the shadows, but it's inefficient and leaves gaps. Or you can let me protect you properly. Live in my home, under my watch, where I can ensure no threat comes within a mile of either of you. That sounds like a prison. It sounds like safety. He met my eyes. And it sounds like a chance for our daughter to know her father, for us to be a family. We're not a family. We're strangers who share DNA with a 3-year-old. Then let's stop being strangers. His voice softened. Move in with me. 6 months. If after that time you still want to leave, I'll set you up somewhere safe with security that won't intrude. I'll visit Mila on scheduled days. I'll give you the space you need. But give me 6 months to prove I'm not the man you fear. 6 months. Half a year to either rebuild trust or confirm my worst fears. Half a year under his roof, under his protection, under his constant presence. "I need to think about it," I said finally. "You have until tomorrow." He stood, pulling out his wallet and leaving far too much money for our coffee. "I'm staying at the Langham, room 2404. When you've decided, call me." He handed me a card with his number. "But, Elena, one way or another, I'm going to be part of Mila's life. The only question is whether you're going to fight me every step of the way, or whether we're going to do this together." He left me sitting there, his words echoing in the sudden silence. As I watched him walk away, I realized Mrs. Chen had been right. Men like Dante Vittorio didn't change easily. The question was whether he'd changed at all, or whether he'd simply gotten better at hiding who he really was. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I lay in the narrow bed in my tiny apartment above the flower shop, staring at the ceiling and listening to Mila's soft breathing from the cot beside me. The business card Dante had given me sat on my nightstand, his number seeming to glow in the darkness. 6 months. Half a year of living under his roof, under his protection, under his watchful eyes. The thought terrified me. But what terrified me more was the alternative. Continuing to run, constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the day when his protection from the shadows wouldn't be enough. At 3 a.m, I heard it. The soft creak of a floorboard on the stairs leading to my apartment. My heart seized. I'd lived here 4 years without incident. The building was old. The stairs groaned constantly. But this was different. Deliberate. Slow. I slipped from bed, moving silently to where I kept a baseball bat behind the door. My phone was in my hand. Dante's number already pulled up. I hesitated, pride warring with fear. Then another creak, closer now. I hit call. He answered on the first ring. "Elena, someone's outside my door," I whispered. I heard rustling, the sound of him moving. "Lock yourself in the bathroom with Mila. Now. Don't make a sound." "Dante." "Do it. I'm 2 minutes away." 2 minutes. How could he be 2 minutes away at 3 a.m, unless he'd been watching, waiting? I scooped Mila from her cot. She mumbled protest but didn't wake as I carried her into the small bathroom and locked the door. I sat on the floor with her in my lap, the bat across my knees, and counted my heartbeats. Outside, I heard the apartment door rattle, someone testing the lock. Then voices, low and urgent. A thud. Silence. I stayed frozen, barely breathing, Mila's weight warm against me. Minutes crawled by. Then my phone buzzed, a text from Dante. "It's safe. Open the door." I waited another 30 seconds before emerging. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it, except for Dante standing in my living room, his clothes disheveled, his knuckles bloody. Another man stood by the door, someone I didn't recognize, holding a semi-conscious figure in dark clothes. "Marco's taking him to be questioned," Dante said, his voice deadly calm. "He won't trouble you again." "Who was he?" I managed, still clutching Mila. "Someone looking for leverage against me, someone who didn't realize you were under protection." His eyes moved over me, assessing for injury. "Are you hurt? Is she?" I shook my head, unable to speak past the fear still coating my throat. Dante moved toward me, his movements careful, controlled. "Let me see her." I let him take Mila, watched as he examined her with gentle hands, checking that she was truly unharmed and just sleeping. When he was satisfied, he carried her to the cot and laid her down with such tenderness, it made my chest ache. "Pack," he said quietly. "Whatever you need for a few days. You're not staying here tonight." "Dante, this isn't a negotiation, Elena." He turned to face me. "Someone found you. Found her. Whether you agree to move in permanently or not, you can't stay here tonight. It's not safe." He was right. God, I hated that he was right. I moved mechanically, throwing clothes into a bag for Mila and myself. Dante waited silently, his presence filling my small apartment, in a way that made me hyper-aware of how little I had, how fragile my independence really was. 20 minutes later, we were in his car, a different one, sleek and black with tinted windows. Mila slept in my arms in the back seat while Dante drove with one hand, the other holding his phone as he issued quiet commands in Italian to people I couldn't see. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Home." His home turned out to be a penthouse in one of Chicago's most exclusive buildings. We rode a private elevator to the top floor, emerging into a space that belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Modern furniture in shades of cream and gray. Original artwork on the walls. Everything pristine, expensive, perfect. "Guest room is this way," Dante said, leading me down a hallway. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom larger than my entire apartment. A king bed with white linens, an attached bathroom in marble and glass, a closet that could fit my entire wardrobe 10 times over. "There's an adjoining room," he continued, opening another door. "I thought Mila could sleep here, so you'd both have space but still be close." The smaller room was already furnished as a child's bedroom, pink and white, with a twin bed, toys on shelves, stuffed animals arranged carefully, as if he'd been preparing for this moment. "How long have you known?" I asked, laying Mila on the bed. "That you might come? Or that you might need to?" He watched me tuck blankets around our daughter. "I've been ready since I found you 3 weeks ago." I turned to face him. "This is insane. All of it. Moving in, living here, pretending we're some kind of family. We are a family," he interrupted. "Whether you accept it or not. Whether you want it or not. She's mine. You're mine. And I protect what's mine." "Stop saying that," I said, exhaustion making me sharp. "I'm not yours. I'm not anyone's." "Aren't you?" He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the quiet room. "Tell me you haven't thought about me these 4 years. Tell me you didn't call me first tonight when you were afraid. Tell me you don't still feel this." His hand reached up, not quite touching my face. This pull between us that time and distance haven't broken. I couldn't. God help me, I couldn't lie about any of it. 6 months, he said softly. "That's all I'm asking. Let me keep you safe. Let me be Mila's father. Let me prove I'm worth trusting again." His voice dropped lower. "Let me prove I never stopped loving you." "Love isn't enough," I whispered. "Not when everything else is broken." "Then let me fix it." His thumb traced my cheekbone without permission. Familiar and possessive at once. "Let me fix us, Elena. Starting with keeping you alive." The reminder of the threat, of the man who'd been outside my door, made my decision for me. 6 months, I agreed. "But I have conditions." "Name them." "Mila comes first. Always. If being here puts her in danger, it won't. This building has security that rivals the White House. No one gets up here without clearance. No one gets close to her without going through me. Second condition, I keep working at the flower shop. I'm not going to be some kept woman with nothing to do." His jaw tightened, but he nodded. "With security." Third, you don't lie to me about anything. I want to know what threats exist, what you're doing about them, everything. Agreed. He paused. "But I have conditions too." Of course he did. "What?" "You don't run again. If something scares you, you come to me, you talk to me. You don't disappear in the night with my daughter." "Fair enough." "Okay. Second, you let me provide for both of you. Proper clothes, food, security, education for Mila. No more living paycheck to paycheck. No more worrying about rent." My pride bristled, but I swallowed it. "Fine." Third, his eyes held mine. "You give us a real chance. Not just coexistence under the same roof. A real chance at being a family. At being together." "Dante, I'm not asking you to sleep with me," he clarified, though heat flickered in his eyes. I'm asking you to be open to the possibility, to not shut down every moment of connection, to let me court you properly this time. Court me? We already have a child together. Yes, but I never got to do this right. Take you on proper dates. Win your trust instead of assuming I had it. Show you who I really am instead of hiding behind secrets. His voice roughened. Let me earn you, Elena, the way I should have from the beginning. The vulnerability in his voice undid something in my chest. This powerful, dangerous man asking permission to court me like a lovesick teenager. It should have been ridiculous. Instead, it was devastatingly sincere. 6 months, I repeated, and then we reassess. 6 months, he agreed. Relief flickered across his features. You should rest. It's late and you've had a shock. We can discuss details tomorrow. He moved toward the door, but I called him back. Dante? Yes? Thank you. For tonight. For being there when I called. Something soft entered his eyes. Always, Dolcezza. I'll always be there when you call. That's what it means to be mine. You're never alone. Never unprotected. Never without me when you need me. After he left, I stood in that beautiful room that cost more than I'd make in years, and wondered what I'd just agreed to. 6 months with the man I'd run from. 6 months of letting him back into my life, into Mila's life, into the heart I'd tried so hard to lock against him. 6 months to either fall in love with him all over again, or confirm every fear that had made me run in the first place. I checked on Mila one more time, her small face peaceful in sleep, oblivious to the seismic shift in her world. Tomorrow she'd wake up in this new place with her father down the hall, and her mother trying desperately to figure out how to protect her heart while keeping her daughter safe. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, for the first time in 4 years, I fell asleep without fear. Because whatever else Dante was, whatever darkness he carried, he'd proven one thing tonight. When I called, he came. And maybe that was enough to start rebuilding on. Mila woke me at 7 with the kind of shriek reserved for discovering something magical. I bolted upright, heart racing, only to find her standing in the doorway of her new room, eyes wide with wonder. Mama! There's a balcony with a slide, and the bathroom has a tub big enough to swim in. And look. She held up a stuffed unicorn that hadn't been there when I'd tucked her in. Someone left me presents. I rubbed sleep from my eyes, following her into the room. Sure enough, beside the unicorn were several other gifts. A children's book in Italian, a pink backpack with her initials embroidered on it, and a framed photo I'd never seen before. Dante as a young boy, maybe 6, with dark curls and gray eyes that were unmistakably Mila's. Did Dante leave these? Mila asked, examining the photo with interest. He looks like me. He does, doesn't he? My voice was rough with sleep and emotion. Is that because he's my daddy? The question hit me like a physical blow. We'd lived 4 years with careful omissions, with Mila too young to ask the hard questions. But 3-year-olds saw more than people credited them for. I sat on the edge of her bed, pulling her close. Yes, baby. Dante is your daddy. I knew it. She sounded satisfied rather than surprised. He has the same grumpy face I make when I don't want to eat vegetables. Mrs. Chen said people who are related make the same faces. Despite everything, I laughed. Mrs. Chen is very wise. Is he going to stay, or will he leave like other daddies do? Her voice had gone small, uncertain. My fierce girl suddenly vulnerable. He's going to stay, I promised, hoping desperately I was right. He wants to be your daddy very much. Good. She hugged the unicorn. I always wanted a daddy. Sarah at daycare has one, and he pushes her really high on the swings. Do you think Dante can push me high? I think he'd push you to the moon if you asked. A knock at the open door made us both turn. Dante stood there in dark jeans and a navy sweater, his hair still damp from a shower. He looked younger, less dangerous. more like the man I'd met at that gallery 4 years ago. "I heard voices," he said. "I thought you might like breakfast. I have a cook, Rosa, who makes the best pancakes in Chicago, or so I'm told." Mila studied him with serious eyes. "Mama makes the best pancakes in the whole world." "Does she?" Dante's lips twitched. "Then perhaps Rosa makes the second best. Would you be willing to judge?" My daughter considered this. "Will there be syrup?" "Maple. And blueberries if you want them." "Okay, but you have to sit next to me and tell me about this picture." She held up the photo of young Dante. "Mama says you're my daddy because we make the same grumpy face." Something vulnerable flickered across Dante's features. "I'd like that very much, Piccola." Breakfast was surreal. The dining room overlooked the city, morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Rosa, a grandmother Italian woman with kind eyes, served pancakes that were indeed incredible, though I'd never admit it. Mila chattered about everything, her initial wariness of Dante melting with each answer he gave to her endless questions. "Why is your hair so dark?" "Mine is too. Mama says it's from someone in our family." "My mother had dark hair. She was from Tuscany. That's a place in Italy. You're part Italian, Piccola." "Am I part princess too?" "Sarah says all girls are princesses. The most beautiful princess in all the kingdoms." His voice held such tenderness it made my throat tight. I watched them together, seeing the easy way Dante handled her questions, the genuine interest in his eyes. This wasn't a man tolerating a child. This was a father desperate to know his daughter. After breakfast, while Mila watched cartoons, Dante pulled me aside into his office. The space was masculine, elegant, dark wood and leather with walls lined with books in English and Italian. "We need to discuss security," he said, opening a laptop. "I want you to understand what you're dealing with. The man last night was a scout, someone testing whether the rumors about you were true, whether you'd be useful leverage." His jaw tightened. "He won't be testing anything again." But he wasn't alone. He pulled up surveillance photos on his screen. Men I didn't recognize, watching the flower shop, following me to the park, standing outside Mila's daycare. "These are all from the past 3 weeks, Dante said. "Since I found you. My presence here drew attention, made certain people curious about why I'd left my old life to live in Chicago. So this is your fault." Anger flared through me. "If you'd stayed away, they'd have found you eventually anyway." Isabella Romano has been asking questions, spreading rumors. She's bitter about our broken engagement and looking for ways to hurt me. He clicked to another photo. Isabella in a restaurant, leaning close to a man whose face was shadowed. "She's been meeting with some of my old enemies, telling them about you." "Why would she do that?" "Because some women measure love by obsession. When I ended things with her to search for you, she took it as rejection. Now she wants to prove I made a mistake." His voice went cold. "She's miscalculated. Badly. What are you going to do? Handle it." He closed the laptop. "But I need you to understand, this isn't going away. These threats, these people who see you as leverage, they're persistent, which is why you need to stay here, under protection, until I've neutralized every source of danger." "How long will that take?" "Weeks, maybe months." He moved closer. "But I meant what I said, Elena. You're safe here. This building has security protocols that make it nearly impossible to breach. Marco coordinates a team that monitors every entry point. No one gets close without me knowing. That sounds like a prison. It sounds like keeping you alive." His hand cupped my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. "I won't apologize for that, for protecting what's mine." There's that word again. "It's the truth." His eyes held mine. "You became mine the moment you smiled at me in that gallery. Mine when you let me take you home that first night. Mine when you got pregnant with my child. And you'll be mine forever, Elena, whether you accept it or not. That's not how love works. You can't just claim someone, can I? He leaned closer, his breath warm against my skin. Tell me you don't feel it, this pull between us. Tell me you didn't sleep better last night than you have in 4 years, because some part of you knew I was watching over you. I couldn't, because he was right. I had slept better, had woken without the usual knot of anxiety in my stomach, had felt, for the first time in years, truly safe. 6 months, I reminded him, my voice unsteady. That's all I agreed to. Then I'll make every day of those 6 months count. His lips brushed my forehead, a promise and a warning. I'll show you who I really am, Dolcezza. Not the monster you've imagined, but the man who loves you so desperately he walked away from everything to find you. Before I could respond, Mila's voice rang out from the living room. Daddy, come watch this part. The princess is fighting a dragon. Daddy. She'd called him Daddy so naturally, as if she'd been doing it her whole life. I saw the word hit Dante like a physical blow, his eyes closing briefly as emotion flickered across his face. You should go, I said softly. She's waiting. He hesitated, his hand lingering on my face. Tonight, after she's asleep, we need to talk. Really talk. About us. About what comes next. Dante. No more running, Elena. You promised. His thumb traced my lower lip. Tonight. He left me standing there, heart racing as he went to join our daughter. Through the doorway, I watched them curl up on the massive couch together, Mila explaining the intricate plot of her cartoon while Dante listened with complete attention. They looked right together. Natural. Like this was how it was always meant to be. And that terrified me more than any threat from his past, because it meant the life I'd built without him, the carefully constructed independence, the protection through distance, was crumbling, being replaced by something new. Something that involved trusting the most dangerous man I'd ever met with, not just my safety, but my heart. That night, after I'd tucked Mila into bed, after she'd insisted Dante read her a story, after she'd fallen asleep holding his hand, after I'd seen the raw wonder on his face at being trusted with that simple intimacy, I found him on the terrace. He stood at the railing, looking out over the city, a glass of amber liquid in his hand. The November wind cut through his sweater, but he didn't seem to notice. She called me Daddy, he said without turning, just accepted it, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Children are adaptable. I moved to stand beside him, wrapping my arms around myself against the cold. She's extraordinary, fierce and sweet and brilliant. He finally looked at me. She's everything I never knew I needed. She's everything I have, I said softly. My whole world, which is why I can't make mistakes with her. Can't let the wrong people close. Am I wrong people, Elena? I studied his profile. The strong jaw, the shadows under his eyes, the way his hand gripped the glass like an anchor. I don't know yet. That's what the 6 months is for. Then let me start proving myself right now. He set down his glass, turning to face me fully. Ask me anything. Any question you've been too afraid to ask. I'll answer honestly. No more secrets. I took a breath, steadying myself. That night, the blood on your shirt. What really happened? His jaw tightened. A meeting with a rival family. They wanted territory I controlled. When I refused, one of them pulled a knife. The blood was from defending myself. He survived, if that matters. Barely. But he survived. And the phone call? About someone being dealt with. Antonio Romano, Isabella's distant cousin, ironically, had been caught skimming from the family business. I was arranging for him to be removed from his position, and sent to manage a legitimate restaurant in Florida, away from temptation, but not hurt. You expect me to believe you are merciful? I expect you to believe I'm complicated. His eyes held mine. I've hurt people, Elena. I won't lie about that. But I never killed without cause, never harmed innocents. The monster you've imagined isn't who I was, and it's certainly not who I am now. Who are you now? A man trying to be worthy of his daughter, of her mother. He reached up, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. A man who spent 4 years regretting every choice that made you run. A man who'd burn the world down to keep you both safe. That's not reassuring. That's terrifying. Good. His thumb traced my jawline. You should be a little terrified of how much I love you, of what I'd do to protect you. Because it means nothing. Not my past, not my reputation, not even my life. Matters more than keeping you safe. His words should have been a warning. Instead, they felt like a vow. And as he pulled me closer, his warmth chasing away the November cold, I realized I was already falling. Again. Still. Always. 3 weeks into our arrangement, I woke to Mila climbing into my bed, her small body trembling. Mama, I had a bad dream. About the mean lady. I pulled her close, stroking her curls. What mean lady, baby? The one with red hair. She came to my school yesterday. She said she was Daddy's friend, but her eyes were scary. Mila burrowed against me. She asked if I liked living with Daddy, if you were happy. Ice flooded my veins. I grabbed my phone, ignoring the early hour, and called Dante. He answered immediately. Isabella went to Mila's school, I said without preamble. Yesterday. She talked to her. The silence on the other end was absolute and more terrifying than shouting. I'll be right there. He appeared in my doorway 2 minutes later, already dressed despite the 5 a.m. hour. His face was a mask of controlled fury. Mila, he said gently, crouching beside the bed. Can you tell me exactly what the lady said? My brave girl looked uncertain for the first time since meeting him. She said she was your friend, that you used to love her. She asked if I was happy, if Mama was happy, if we wanted to go somewhere safe where you couldn't find us. Dante's hands clenched into fists. What did you say? I said Mama and I are safe with you, that you're my daddy, and daddies keep their families safe. She touched his face with small fingers. Was that wrong? No, Piccola. That was perfect. He kissed her forehead. You're so brave. But if you see that lady again, you need to tell me your Mama immediately. Can you do that? She nodded seriously. After Mila fell back asleep between us, something that was becoming a comforting routine, Dante and I moved to the living room. She crossed a line, he said quietly, but his voice carried deadly promise. Going to Mila's school, talking to her, that's not strategy, that's a threat. What are you going to do? End it. He pulled out his phone. I've been merciful because of our history. That ends now. I watched him make calls in rapid Italian, his voice cold and commanding. This was the man I'd run from. Powerful, dangerous, capable of ending threats with a few words. But this time, he was protecting us, using that danger on our behalf. When he finished, he turned to me. Isabella is being encouraged to leave Chicago, permanently. She'll be on a plane to Milan by tomorrow, with clear understanding that she never returns, never contacts us, never speaks our names again. And if she refuses? His smile was cold. She won't refuse, because I've made it clear what the alternative is, and Isabella values her comfort more than her pride. I should be horrified by this, I said softly, by how easily you can make people disappear. Are you? I met his eyes. No, because she threatened my daughter. And I'd do the same if I had your power. Something shifted in his expression. Approval, understanding, recognition. You're more like me than you want to admit, Dolcezza. You'd do anything to protect what's yours. The only difference is you've never had the means. I do. He was right. God help me, he was right. I'm scared, I admitted. Not of you, but of how much I'm starting to depend on you. How much Mila already loves you. What happens if this doesn't work? If 6 months from now we're not... We will be. He moved closer, his hands framing my face. Because I'm not the man you ran from, Elena. I'm the man who spent 4 years becoming worthy of you, who walked away from everything to prove you matter more than power, who'd burn the world down before letting anyone hurt you or our daughter. You can't burn the world for me. Watch me. His thumb traced my lower lip. I love you. I've loved you since that gallery. I loved you while you ran. I loved you while I searched. And I'll love you until my last breath. That's not changing. The only question is whether you'll finally let yourself love me back. I never stopped, I whispered, the truth escaping before I could stop it. That's what terrified me. I ran from you, but I couldn't run from loving you. Every time I looked at Mila, I saw you. Every time she made your grumpy face or showed your stubborn streak, I fell in love with you all over again through her. His eyes closed briefly, emotion flickering across his face. Say it again. I love you. I tried not to. Tried to hate you, fear you, anything but this. But I love you, Dante. Completely. Desperately. Even when it terrifies me. He kissed me then, deep and claiming and absolutely certain. Not the gentle kisses we'd shared over the past weeks, but something fierce and possessive that made my toes curl and my heart race. Mine, he breathed against my lips. Finally, completely mine. Yours, I agreed, surrendering to what had always been inevitable. Always yours. 2 weeks later, we went to the park, our first real outing as a family. Mila ran ahead toward the swings while Dante and I followed, his hand warm in mine. There's something I want to ask her, he said quietly. But I need your permission first. What is it? He stopped walking, turning to face me. I want to ask if I can officially be her father. Not just in fact, but in name. I want to adopt her, give her my name, make it legal. Tears pricked my eyes. You want to adopt Mila? I want the world to know she's mine. I want it on paper. Legal. Unbreakable. His voice roughened. I want her to be Mila Vittorio, my daughter, in every way that matters. Yes, I said without hesitation. Yes, absolutely yes. Relief flooded his features. Then let me ask her. We found Mila on the swings, pumping her legs to go higher. Dante crouched beside her, slowing the swing gently. Piccola, I have an important question for you. She looked at him with those gray eyes that were mirror images of his. Is it about ice cream? Because I think we should get some after the park. Despite the seriousness of the moment, he smiled. It's about something more important than ice cream. I was wondering, would it be okay if I became your daddy officially? If you had my last name and everyone knew you were mine? Mila stopped swinging, studying him with that serious intensity she got when thinking hard. Would I still be me? Mila? Yes. You'd be Mila Vittorio. Still you, just with my name. And you'd be my daddy forever? Not just visiting sometimes? Forever, he promised. Every day, every night, every moment you needed me. She considered this, then rolled her eyes in a gesture so exactly like him, it made me laugh through my tears. Well, obviously yes. I've been waiting for you to ask. She crossed her arms. Took you long enough. Dante's laugh was startled and genuine. He scooped her up, holding her close as she wrapped her arms around his neck. You're absolutely right, Piccola. I should have asked sooner. That's okay. She patted his shoulder consolingly. Grown-ups are slow sometimes. Mama says it's because they think too much. Over her head, Dante's eyes met mine, full of love and gratitude and promise. This man who'd commanded an empire now undone by a 3-year-old's acceptance. Can we get ice cream now? Mila asked. All this daddy business is making me hungry. Absolutely. He set her down but kept hold of her hand. What flavor? All of them, she declared, already pulling him toward the ice cream vendor. I followed, watching them together, my fierce, stubborn daughter and the dangerous man who'd torn his world apart to find us. The man who'd proven that love wasn't about pretty words or easy promises, but about showing up, protecting, choosing us every single day. That night, after Mila was asleep, after ice cream and stories and her insistence that Dante needed to sleep closer because daddies should be close to their families, he found me on the terrace. Thank you, he said simply, for giving me this, for letting me be her father, for trusting me with both of you. Thank you for not giving up on us, for searching when I ran, for becoming the man I needed you to be. He pulled me close, his arms warm against the night. I meant what I said 4 years ago, even if I said it badly. You're mine, Elena. Mine to love, mine to protect, mine to cherish. And I'm yours, completely and forever. Forever, I agreed, tilting my face up for his kiss. Behind us, through the glass, I could see Mila's room where our daughter slept peacefully. Safe, loved, protected by a father who'd moved heaven and earth to find her. 4 years ago, I'd run from this man in terror. Now I was running toward him, toward us, toward the family we'd become despite everything, and I'd never felt more free.